Hi everybody, I'm Tina, and this is Belle. Belle, say hi. She's too busy trying to steal the treats. And we're going to be talking about maintaining your dog's coats at home. We're going to do a series of these videos for different types of coat. I'm starting with Belle, who's being very greedy and stealing all the treats. Let me move them out of her way. So I'm going to start with Belle because this is the coat that we most often get problems with in the grooming salon. Belle, come here and show the camera. Come and look at the camera. So Belle is a cockapoo and she has a curly coat and it's quite thick. At the moment it's kept trimmed fairly short because Belle likes to play and get really dirty and she loves to get wet and smelly and horrible, and that means that she'll get mats if we're not careful. So we tend to make sure the hair coat's kept fairly short, especially because as we're filming this, it's just getting towards the end of summer and it makes it nice and cool for her. We will in winter get a little bit more length on here, but as you can see, it's quite dense and curly. So if you've got a dog like that, we need to look at how you can take care of the curly coat. We've got various equipment that I'm going to talk about first. So do you want to get down a minute, Belle? There we go. So I have all sorts of grooming equipment and there is basically a huge wide array. There's things like this, brushes like these that are very popular, all sorts of things that you can get for grooming your dog. And nobody knows quite what they need for what dog. So what we're going to do is talk about the different types depending on what dog you've got going through in a cycle. So we'll gradually do one type of dog and then another. So I'm just going to tell you a few things about some of the bits that we've got on here. These I absolutely love. This, we call them Zoom Grooms, but it's a massage pad really, that's a brand name. You can see it's nice and soft and bendy. These are absolutely great for removing loose hair off your dogs when they're molting. Obviously, cockapoos and the breeds like her don't molt, so this is not going to be used for Belle. Fantastic for my terrier, who you will see at some point. Stan has this used on him and he loves it. This sort of brush is very, very popular. I very rarely use this on Belle, and I will show you why when we're doing the video showing Belle getting groomed. There's nothing wrong with it. It's better for a smooth coated dog. I like it for the ones with short hair, but some people do really like to use these. There's no reason why you shouldn't, but I think the way that I'll show you that I work on Belle's coat is better. I do use these on Belle. Now I actually prefer the little small one, but they come in lots of different sizes and it really is personal preference. So it might be a case of try them and see. They're not expensive. We sell both of these ones. This one's $5.89, this one's $4.89, so it's not a huge price. I like them with this soft because we don't want to upset the dog when they're having it done. Sometimes those are quite hard. So they will remove loose hair. They're good for helping when your dog's molting, but they're also a great detangling tool. I tend to avoid them for molting dogs, but use them for the curly coat. This is my weapon of choice, definitely for Belle, every single day. I use a comb like this every day. They're not expensive, less than £7, and can make the difference between your dog being matted and not, which I'll explain in a little while. Whatever you breed a dog, you might need some decent nail clippers, but yeah, we'll go into that in greater detail on another video. My favourite comb is this. We don't sell one quite like this yet, but we hopefully will do soon. So that's some of the bits and pieces we're going to use. I will go through shortly how we're going to use it. This is one of our favourite tools, by the way, for nails. This is a nail grinder. Very simple piece of kit. It's charged with a UVB charger so it can come hands-free. And if I take the lid off, the dog's nail is placed in there and we just run it like that and it gradually files their nails, and it's really, really good because it means you can avoid nicking the quick. At some point we'll do a separate video just for dealing with dogs' nails because it's such an important area, and looking after their feet in general. Okay, so bear with because this is going to be the first video in the series and it's all about looking after curly-coated dogs. So this is my little princess Belle. Belle, sit, have a look at the camera. She is a cockapoo, as I said in the first section, and she is absolutely adorable, don't you think? Now, people think that having this type of coated dog means that it will be less work to take care of because they're not going to shed. Actually, I can tell you it's more. Because you're going to have to put effort into looking after this coat every single day of the dog's life. And that means as puppies, you really need to start grooming them as soon as you can. Most of the decent breeders are grooming them within days of being born, literally just putting combs on them and that sort of thing so as they get used to it. Because grooming is a big part of this dog's life. We need them to come into the groom room about every 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the rate of growth of the hair. But it's not because it needs cutting and we want to shorten it, it's because we need to avoid it matting. You will have all heard about having all off shaves and how terrible it is when groomers do that. There's no choice. It isn't something they do because they like to do it. It is simply done because we need to make sure that the dog is comfortable and happy, and mats make dogs uncomfortable and very unhappy. So we need to do this every day to keep them mat free. Before anybody thinks Belle doesn't have a normal life like a dog, she does. She goes out, she rolls in stuff, she gets absolutely filthy, she likes to throw herself in the lake. That makes it more challenging to groom, but I am not prepared to have a dog that doesn't get to be a dog. So, how do I take care of her coat at home? So the first thing is, Belle, stand up. I will start at the top, at the head, and work my way backwards, making sure I cover all of her body. Some people prefer to start at the back and then work their way forwards. The choice is yours, really. The reason I start here is she does tend to get quite matted, dirty ears, and I will be doing at some point a separate video just about taking care of ears, because we need to make sure they're nice and clean inside. Dogs like this, they need to be used to you lifting the ear up, having a look and not bothered by it at all. As you can see, Belle is quite happy to have everything like this done. Part of that is because we make sure there's always some treats around for when she's grooming, but it's also because she's been being groomed regularly since she was a baby. And she's absolutely fine with it. As you can see, she's really happy. So, why do I start at the head and work my way to the end? This is simply because I need to make sure I don't miss anywhere and that she has a regular routine for her grooming so that we can do every bit of her and not leave somewhere to get knotted. So, by doing that, you avoid the suspect bits. Now, dogs get very clever and they will avoid you doing the bits that are suspect, like under there. You see under this armpit here? This is one of the most common places we find knots when we're doing grooms. The most beautiful place on most dogs when you bring them in for a groom is this area, across their back, near the back. And that is because that's the area they're most likely to turn towards you to be groomed. But if you do this, Belle, come here, give me your leg. The bit they usually don't like having done is this bit. And legs and feet get tangled up really badly, and under here does too. So we need to make sure we cover everywhere. Behind the ears also is a really common place, particularly if, like Belle, they decide to dip their ears into fox blue and shovel it around and make a mess. She also does it in her dinner or in any muddy patches she finds, so she's a right little monkey. So I always choose to start with the comb, but I don't just comb across, because that way we're getting a beautiful finish to the top, but we're not getting down into the fur. So can you see how I'm putting that in like that? And then I'll pull it away from her skin. And that brings any knots that are in there to the top and removes them. And like I said, we do this to Belle every single day. And I work all over her entire body every day. And she likes it. She's absolutely up for it. Always do it on a table. Doesn't have to be a fancy grooming table. Put something that's non-slip on any old table. It saves you back. It's so much easier to groom them if you can do it with them raised up. So I've got a little snag there, and this is important. This is why those tines are rounded, because then it doesn't snag as much on it. And can you see it will just gradually tease it out. Now if it doesn't, there's nothing wrong with actually breaking that bit off or cutting that bit off if it won't untangle. It's far better for the dog than keep pulling. You remember, this is like your hair. If it's knotted, it hurts. So I've gone over here already with the wider teeth. On the other end is narrower teeth. You see that? So I'm going to use that on that knotted bit and see if that'll loosen it. It's actually pulled the knot off, you see? And because I was putting my hands between her and the comb, it didn't hurt her. You'd have heard about it, wouldn't you? But yeah, I've worked all over her now with the comb. I then, once she's completely finished, and notice she sat down then, she knows the last bit is her tail, and that's the bit Belle's not very keen on. We have to insist that gets done as well, because if you miss anywhere, that's where you end up with the matting. And matting is just very, very painful for dogs. If you have a look on Stance Powell's Facebook page, sometimes we share photos of the mats. And sometimes they're awful, and we really feel for the dogs. So they're their owners, they haven't done it on purpose. But yeah, so we'll look all the way through her tail and make sure every little bit's been covered. I've already done it with the wide teeth, so I'm now doing it with the narrower teeth, just making sure every knot's gone. And then with a lot of relief, Belle, you can sit now if you want to. She knows I've finished, and she doesn't want to now. So once you've gone everywhere with the comb and got every knot out, we want to make sure that she's looking her best. So we're going to go over her with a slicker brush. Don't press on. The idea is that they should be teasing through the hair, not pressing into the skin, because they're metal bits on the skin. They don't feel very nice. But we want to get it so as it's just going through like that. Don't forget under the chin here, that bit, if that gets knotted, is a real problem, because if you imagine, we have to clip her or cut off with scissors mats. And if you have to do one there, that's where a jugular is, and that can be really risky. So I want to make sure that always that bit is mat free. Okay, so I'd work over her entire body with that as well. And like I said, I do that every single day. And it doesn't take long, you soon get into the habit of it. And as you can see, Belle's so used to it, she just sits there and lets you. Now, lots of people have a brush like this. There's nothing wrong with it. It's absolutely fine. You could use it for finishing off like I've just done with the slicker and go over like that. But what we find the most often is people use, particularly this side, because it's nice and soft and the dogs aren't bothered by it. You see, she's going to stand there and let me do that as long as I like. But by doing that, what you've done is create a lovely, nice, soft, shiny finish across their coat. But remember how we said we're going into the skin because that's where the mats form. This one going across the top isn't actually going down to the skin, so you can get a dog where it looks absolutely beautiful and you've put a lot of effort into making it look lovely, and it will have beautiful fur on the very top, but down by the skin it's not. And you can do it with that side to get down to the skin. I don't really like the idea of that because it's sort of scratchy, but that's just me, that's a personal thing. Okay, now once she's had all of that done, we make sure she's looking divine. I will at the same time every day just check she's got no eye bogies here. Can you see they often form here? And I literally just wipe away with my finger because Belle gets them very small and they're checked every day. But what you can do is get some makeup pads like this, and there is specialist liquids you can do for cleaning this if it's really bad, and we will do that on eye care on a later video. But if it's just to do general daily clean, damp it with a little bit of water and then just go over it like this. And a separate one for each eye. So we get a new pad and do the other eye. That's only very slightly damp. Mine's dried out a bit because the room I'm doing the video in. It's better if it's damper. So we go over it and just make sure that the eye bogies don't form. This is because if they get really bad, they can be a source of infection, and you can get infected eyes and cause all sorts of problems. The other bit we're going to look at, and I look every day, is have a look in their ears and just make sure it's nice and clean, and you can see that that is beautiful. We do regular ear cleaning as well, but we're not going to do that today because it's not too bad in there. So today she's just had her comb and brush out. The other thing I'll always look at is her teeth. And look at that, her teeth. She's 6 years old, and I think they are pretty good teeth for a dog that's that age. She has them cleaned with a finger toothbrush like this. Yes, I know there's no toothpaste on it, Belle, I'm sorry. She has them cleaned with a finger toothbrush like that 2 or 3 times a week. Some people prefer to use this type. We sell both. I don't like doing it with this sort. I find it awkward. But it really depends which is your personal preference. These are so cheap that you can try both quite easily. This is a little bit tougher. So if you've got starting a build up of staining, you might be able to scrub it off a bit of that. But we do another video, or we will be doing another video all about tooth care. Now, nails. Nails are an absolute nightmare for most dogs. So there's Belle's, and Belle's, as you can see, are jet black. Because they're black, it makes them more challenging because we can't see where the quick is. We will at some point do a video especially about nails. You can see that those have recently been cut because they're straight there. You don't necessarily have to cut them. You can use an emery board like this, and this is one that came from my nail artist and is especially really for acrylic nails. Yeah. Or you can use a nail grinder like the one that we market. I find that a far safer way at home to do it, especially if your dog's got black nails, because if you cut too far and you can't see how far to cut with black nails, then you could end up catching the quick, it bleeding and it really hurting, and then your dog can end up being put off from that. So Belle, do you want to sit down and look at the camera for us? She will for this, won't you? What's this? Sit. So I hope that's helped. Things to remember: a comb through to the skin and pull away gently every single area of your dog every day. Slicker brush is quite good for finishing off, and you need to be visiting your groomer every 4 to 6 weeks with a dog with this type of coat. The most important thing is to do it so often that your dog enjoys it. If I left it and she got knotted, then she wouldn't enjoy it, and then it becomes hard work for her and for me. But this way, because we are always doing it, she enjoys it. She would have her tail wagging, but I've moved the tub of treats, so she's looking for that. But yeah, I think you'll agree, she looks adorable, she's happy, she loves to get dirty, but she loves to get groomed as well, and we're keeping her coat in tip-top condition. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the groom rooms.